Okay. Promising.
It's blurry. Is it supposed to be blurry?
I think it's always like that.
Oh, I never
So the
really
fish
noticed.
islands. It hurts to look at.
Yeah, I don't like it. Bingle, when you watch this, we need a new webcam.
Is it recording right now?
Yeah, it says it's recording. I think it does that automatically.
Oh, good.
Did anyone wipe off the lens? Is there smuts on it?
I don't know. Did
Didn't
you say
even,
schmutz?
didn't even try to wipe off the smuts.
It's already recording.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a little bit.
I guess I'll go first. Unless anyone else really wants to go.
I mean, I'll go first. I don't mind it. I just want to get up.
Okay.
What? So, it's my lab report for today. Don't have any keywords. I need to work on that. I realized that after the meeting started. So kind of what I did this week was I did Bradford Geohazard Research Center asked me to make some hillshade maps of this area. Let me get myself oriented. It's right here. Is where they're looking at.
Did you share this?
Oh, probably not.
Do the share of the desktop.
We do the whole entire thing. That would be like.
You close out of the there it is. Close to that's okay.
All right, restart.
Share desktop.
There, geez.
Yeah, just click share.
Yeah.
Just click on the window.
Oh, did it share?
Yeah, that'll show whatever.
There we go. All right. So where's mine at? There we go. All right. Well, don't have keywords. Restarting now. But yeah, so Geohazard Research Center asked me to make some hillshade maps and stuff of an area they're getting ready to fly for their Geology 408 class, and they're really focusing on this area right here. So this right here is a multi-directional hillshade. This is the LiDAR point cloud that I downloaded from VGen and USGS. And then here's a slope map where it's kind of like 0 to 90 degrees, and the brighter the color, the steeper the slope. And so right here is where they're concerned about. And it's collected in 2016 as part of a USGS FEMA kind of a joint venture thing. And I asked them to let me know where they're gonna go fly, so I can go out there and fly, do some cool things. So yeah. And then so yeah, the gift works. But so I did Esri hotspot and outlier analysis training this week, and I explained the difference between optimized and traditional methods, as well as talking about the different types of neighborhoods and like distance measuring issues, and explain spatial correlation, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, I did it. So, and then other things I did this week, yeah, I emailed a geotechnical engineer from Hong Kong to get some LiDAR data from them to replicate Xi et al. Started a GitHub repo for slope Python script things I'm working on. Investigated potential solutions to chronic food insecurity among both undergrad and graduate students, because found out yesterday that actually 1 in 3 students are facing food insecurity. It's 29% undergrads and 35% grad students, so about 8,100 and 1,700 respectively. Yeah, and then started working on an amendment to get out from underneath people's other shared governance purviews, and I reviewed Mezal et al. 2017. Asked Dr. Shaw to be on my committee, and I emailed Dr. Malden in Geotech, and he said he's retiring at the end of the semester, and recommended I contact his co-worker, Dr. Dove, also in Geotech. So, and then things to do: add 6 reviewed articles to my Google Doc. We'll probably get that done by Wednesday. Then find a new location to test Xi et al. Besides Hong Kong, because I picked somewhere in California, but there was rock slides and debris slides, and the data, like, it just wasn't complete data. So a little hectic with all the creeks and stuff that were kind of drained towards the ocean. And then I'm beginning writing my lit review for 2014. It's due like November something, November like 11th, 14th, 5th. What?
The
All right.
next Tuesday, or not this Tuesday coming up, but the next Tuesday.
Okay, so I gotta get on that sooner rather than later because they crap. No. All right.
I'm writing like so.
Thank you. Who's next?
Okay.
All right.
Ooh, keywords. Solid, man.
Thanks. So my keywords are part 107, SFM, structure promotion, multi-view stereo, and place attachment. Okay, so my plan right now for my part 107 test is to take the test over winter break. I'm at home in Charleston, so it'll be like a 1.5 to 2 months of study time, and I'll also like will not have anything else going on really when I actually take the test. Is that enough time for those of you taking it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then remote pilot 101. What's my understanding with? Do you use that?
I did it from experience working with people, but I think you should read the FAA circular
Okay.
about it, just so you have that knowledge, but also like watch the videos. That's kind of like a last review.
Okay.
The thing will give you that.
There's also practice quizzes on there. But
Yeah, remote pilot 101.
Okay.
He has login.
Yeah.
Can you give that to you?
Mhm.
Okay. Yes. Is that?
Okay, so that's what I'm done with that. And then there's this paper I reviewed from Croatia. It's cool. It's about structure for motion, but they didn't use drones or anything. They use structure for motion and multi-view stereo imagery by these Croatian people. Name of Pikelish, and some bunch of really hard to pronounce names. So they have these two beaches. One is called Bresk, and the other is Doogie Rat. So anyways, yeah, they just carried around a camera or carried it up on a pole. They also cited Sean Bemis, who's in the geosciences department here. Neat. So this beach, Bresk, they monitored for about 3 months, average period of 10 days between surveys. And it's this really small beach surrounded by rocky headlands. And they painted some rocks to use as ground control points. Pretty easy for them because they just leave it there. And it, the rocks are going to stay in the same place. So the beach rotated, which is kind of a neat effect that happens when the waves come in different directions. So after like a few days of really strong wind and waves from one direction, one side of the beach will erode and the other will accrete. So here's a neat video. The time lapse of some beach in Italy rotating. So you can see the side closest to the camera is going to get way bigger, especially right towards the end of the video, and it gets much more narrow far end.
Is this like after repeated storm events, or is this?
It could be.
regular?
It's usually like persistent waves from a certain direction.
Okay.
So it could be a storm, not necessarily. And this is over the period of 20 days, I think. So yeah, it gets pretty stormy there.
That's cool.
And
Well,
now it's like
that's maybe
big
this is-
grow. So just like compare where like it was here,
that's neat.
and now it's like sheep big.
That was 20 days.
I yeah, 20 days of beach change.
Geez.
So neat. Hi.
Is Peter?
I think he's out in the atrium helping another
Yeah.
student.
Thank you.
No problem.
So Doogie Rat. It's kind of a funny name. Yeah, maybe I'll have to ask Anna Maria how to pronounce. But so this should actually say February 2015, June 2016, so it's much longer time period. But it's an artificial beach between these groins. And they just like walked around this one with the camera. on a stick.
Those are called groins.
Yeah, these like, yeah. They're like little mini jetties, and the idea is they like keep the sand in the same place. They're kind of controversial because they actually accelerate erosion. So anyways, they didn't really have that much change in volume, and the beach didn't really rotate. Just kind of sand moved around. The blue areas are where sand was lost from the previous survey, and red is where it was gained. And this is the earliest one. This is the latest one. So
So they're measuring it based off of the elevation of the sand?
yeah.
Okay.
So, and not much happened there. So their conclusions were that this works really well for kind of the small beaches that they have in Croatia, and a lot of them are also bounded by rocks and cliffs and stuff. So you can like get a lot of nice angles from walking on top of the cliffs. Like this is a picture I took from California. So they have these little tiny beaches, cliffs. So this probably work really well there too. And it's easier than UAV-based surveys because you just walk around with the camera and take pictures. You don't have to deal with the drones and stuff. But the bigger beaches, like the long barrier islands, the most the East Coast has, are like way too big. And you probably would struggle to get angles unless you have piers or high enough dunes you can get on top of or something like that. But it would be cool to see a comparison between this and stationary LiDAR, where you just have the LiDAR on like a building or a pole or something, and it just kind of constantly takes snapshots of the beach.
We were I put that filter on.
Yeah. So yeah, it was neat. So place attachment, finishing up data collection. I kind of am trying to push on this really hard to finish it by next week. Oops. And next step is the like variable aggregation and weighting, which I need to do some reading on, and then start the IRB proposal, the next project soon, so that by the time I actually finish place attachment up, we can actually start working on that. And it's gonna be like making a survey and dealing with that stuff. So my goals: lit review, like all of us who are in 5014. Finish up the data collection and start the weighting and aggregation. I wasn't able to meet with Sean Bemis and Dr. Crawford this week. I think Bemis just got back from field work like Tuesday, but I'll be meeting them next week. And also beat Tennessee. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen this video.
Oh, I thought you typed that.
Do you want to watch the video?
Yeah.
It's actually from an Alabama fan, but it's funny.
Applicable.
I'm not a dog person. I was like, hey, Jack, you got some strong feelings. I can't believe you guys actually won against
I know.
UGA.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is this guy? I think I've seen this video before. Oh, man.
You turn it
Oh,
over.
YouTube volume.
Yes.
Oh, let me get this.
No, it's not working too well, is it?
It might
Turn
be
up
off
the-
the. Is it running off the?
No, it's off the TV. Just turn up the turn up the volume on the audio control on the computer.
Tennessee. And I just hate them because they low down, they dirty, they some snitches. And I hate Philip Farmer. I hate their colors. I'm not a dog person. I just hate Tennessee, man. Like, and I hate Neyland Stadium. It looks like a garbage truck. And I hate all their quarterbacks. I hate Tennessee. It reminds me, it's not that orange that you can stand. See, I hate Tennessee more than I hate Auburn. I just dislike Auburn. I hate Tennessee. Tennessee's colors is that throw-up orange. It's not that orange that you can sit with. It's that puke inside of pumpkin orange. And I don't like pumpkins. So I really don't like Tennessee, man. I can't stress that enough, man. And they losers, they sore losers because they're not Alabama. And
True.
I hate Tennessee.
Not Dockers.
That's some good points.
It's like a truck convention.
Alright, that's all I have.
We're having a meeting, Peter.
Yeah, I know.
It's recording.
This is where our meetings consist of.
You realize it's recording, right?
Bye, Peter.
Bye.
Oh, Dr. Pingle definitely needed to see that.
I think so. Just understand.
Right, so instead of forgetting my keywords, I forgot my goals for next week. Also, I forgot to move that down a bit. But anyways, there's this article that I read this week by Gregorio de Souza et al. And it's about different like earthworks that they've found in the Amazon. So like they found with like LiDAR these different.
The aliens.
That's just aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So what's the
you-
difference between this and crop circles?
These are awesome.
but they researched these like outcroppings and their locations and where they are and what they could possibly be. So they found that there's some that are like crops of those earthworks, and they've also found like different ceramics and stuff within them. And did I not include the map? I didn't include the map. There was this really nice map that he included of like all the different locations of these things and where they were in regards to the river, which would be very helpful for me. Which brings me to the next thing. I sent an email to him this morning. Social anxiety is a thing, so luckily there was the data availability thing at the very end of the article, which was very nice. So I just sent the email this morning, waiting to hear back because it's been less than an hour. I did try contacting Dr. Fiore. She was in, I believe, construction, college of, or like the construction discipline here. Turns out she's no longer here. So that email bounced back, but I sent the same email pretty much to her email address at Drexel. Still waiting to hear back. Tried to request an article to present on, that was on my to-do list. Still waiting to hear back. Try to look for some ink and roads for like a shapefile or something. It didn't go too great, so
Digitizing.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
I'm really good at that now.
Yeah,
I'm supposed to do AS.
it's been a rough week. As you're training, I found it. This is a 3-hour course, so I'm really gonna sit down with it this weekend when I don't have any classes or anything to really worry about and get that done. And that's it. It's just one of those weeks where you're just waiting to hear back. It just be that way sometimes.
I really do.
Is Mike there?
Yes.
No, yeah.
You just go to Slack. It's in Chrome.
I really just have the worst eyes ever.
No, you
Do I have to download it? Or,
Is that Google?
gosh, I feel like I'm like a 40-year-old.
It's on the right hand over there above the screen.
Sweet. Got a cool logo. No keywords, but cool logo. Yeah, so came upon a person who has allied interests in the area of which I'm studying. I don't know how I didn't come across this person before, but they're in England, so that's probably why. Across the pond. But anyways, a lot of Claire Burwell's work is in regards to the suitability of point cloud visualizations in 3D versus 2D, like overhead mounted displays, and how, so that first kind of article on the left side that I have highlighted, potential for using 3D visualization for data exploration, error correction and analysis of LiDAR point clouds is definitely important platform in which I can build off of and provide some foundational reasoning for why my project is important for that error correction and reclassification aspect. So I'll probably try to make contact with her if she speaks English. We'll see. But yeah, she's from England. She speaks. Yeah, we're good.
She writes
Yeah.
She writes in English. Yeah.
I was confused.
She's an English name.
She like works at she works in like the Netherlands or something like that now. So I wasn't sure. Like the first thing I saw was like she was working at France or something. You know, interesting. But yeah, one of these works is her dissertation. I think it's
Top one on
this
the right
was the
side.
top one, right side. Yeah. So that was fun reading a 200-page paper in regards to that. But yeah, and then kind of continue researching, just kind of like I was saying before, the foundational reasoning for why the project is necessary. I won't read everything on here, but there's been some research in the areas that people have done in order to bring point clouds to life and interact with them. LiDAR viewer, Kralos has kind of been the most brought along kind of study in his own kind of customized system. And then all the way down, there's different ways to kind of view point clouds to like for cloud compare, you can put on the Oculus Rift and look around the scene, which I can probably show you guys at some point if you want to see. But yeah, which doesn't incorporate a lot of interaction techniques at all, rather than just being present in it. But yeah, so then I was kind of tasked with showing how kind of reclassification is being done currently. I don't know. It's the recording in the background. I don't know how to turn off the.
Sounds like that. Something.
Wait, how do I? There's oh booty sweat. Alright. There you go. There we go. So
What's happening?
wait a second. Did I get the wrong one? Anyways, okay. Well, this was supposed to be one of Pix4D, but this is an ArcMap for some reason. I copied and pasted the wrong video. But yeah, so we'll continue with this. This is ArcMap, kind of their method of reclassification of point cloud. A lot of systems choose to employ a profile viewing method, which is this down here, where you're trying to take an oblique look at the scene, and then you can do some selection of points in the scene. If you look at the top in the main map frame over here, this red little strip is kind of like a bounding box from which you're looking. So it's only displaying the points within this extent down here, so that you're not getting overlapping collateral points in your classification. So you can imagine this is a very kind of like long task. If you're looking at like large LiDAR sets, you're going from like one side of the screen, one side of the scan to the other. A lot of companies that do this employ like a lot of different people in order to kind of clean up their data sets to get them more accurate. So this is Pix4D. Still can't spell, geez. So yeah, these flat screen kind of interfaces that we have for point cloud classification, like I was saying, have these kind of collateral issues with if you select some points that you're wanting to reassign in the background, it can kind of get the points that are in the background because of the kind of depth perception priority that's going on there. And that makes for some issues in classifying the points that you want to classify. So like Arc, Pix4D has this kind of profile viewing. Arc Pro actually recently took their profile viewing out, something to do with like WebGL and different standards and stuff like that. But previous slide I showed, it was ArcMap, and it was a pretty kind of one-click solution to doing it, whereas Arc Pro is you have to like define your extent and then draw a line and then make sure that the line is processed as a profile yeah, and it's annoying, so. But, yep, and then, yeah, this is kind of a repeat because I did the video, but yeah, it's just like an arduous process in which you don't want to do it hundreds, thousands of times. So, and come the implementation of VR in this sense. So desktop displays, even though they're like immersive, putting yourself in the scene. So we've heard of like field of view, which is kind of like your extent of being able to manipulate data, but on the desktop, you're only getting about 20 degrees of actual field of regard, which is what you can actually manipulate and look at right in front of you. So we switch that over to a head-mounted display. You're able to actually traverse and look behind you, look to the side. So your field of regard is actually 360 degrees compared to kind of this desktop interface where you have to pan your screen, rotate, all that kind of stuff. And obviously there's no stereoscopic display on a desktop versus the VR. You can see it in as if you were looking at it like in real life. So all the parallax and everything is accounted for, as well as head tracking. You can move around the scene and still have full fidelity there. Yeah, so some kind of goals for now in the future, and some other things. Schedule a meeting with the committee just to get them brought up to speed. I'll have to probably coordinate with Dr. Carsonson as he's on sabbatical. Also looking at Entwine as last kind of lab meeting. We were talking with Dr. Howard Butler, just kind of getting that going. And yeah, some more interactions. Be great to be able to do some stuff with the point clouds, whether that's bringing in some point filtering algorithms or something like that. Just be able to do on the fly. And then also this week I had a couple of job interviews at Old Dominion University for a GIS analyst. I guess it's like their version of the what is it, CGIT. So it's like their CGIT mixed with I guess the GIS version of the IT department here at Tech. So they're doing like server maintenance and passing out data and all that stuff, but they're also research oriented, all that kind of stuff. And the other one was Southern Company, which is, I don't think it's a subsidiary, but it's kind of like the conglomerate of like Virginia Power, Georgia Power. They kind of own that whole kind of deal. So I think this one was specifically for Virginia Natural Gas. So yeah, I've never kind of worked with utilities, and I imagine there's probably a lot of network updating and pipeline, polyline, digitization type deal. So yeah, if not, it's always good to get interview practice and do all that kind of jazz. So yeah, that's it. You want to slide?
It's open in one of those tabs. Yeah. Okay, where's
It
it?
might be that one.
Yeah.
I changes that anyway. So. There you go. Perfect.
Hey,
Okay.
take a look.
Yeah, no, you gotta grab the logo. All right, get started. This week was pretty productive, just kind of like finishing up a bunch of random things that were on my to-do list and things I wanted to get done. I didn't mess around too much with like programming and stuff like that this week, but I did some work with like annotating damage polygons and contacting less. And look into more of it further. So with the lab machines, I got the 3D video MP4 to run on Oculus. And I posted a tutorial on the wiki about it. I think it's kind of useful knowing how to do that because like if we're doing a tour or like showing it off to someone, there's like YouTube videos that we can do like if we were to post our videos that we make, our 3D videos on YouTube, it's kind of a pain to get to. So having the MP4, you can just play immediately. And you also don't have to have internet access. And also there's a weird thing where you couldn't turn on the volume from the keyboard. So like I was playing Dr. Pingle's drone video, and like all you could hear is the buzzing of the rotors, and it was really, really loud. So there's like a setting that you need to change. So I figured that out. I talked to Les and I got the Pix, and he put on Pix4D license onto the window machine. So all I have to do is log in and just hit OK a couple times, and it should work. And we should have an election for the names of the machines soon. I think Dr. Ping will have veto power or whatever, the totalitarian. But so with partnerships and groups, so the UAS group that me and Dr. Ping are working with, I sent out an email coordinating a tour of the cube. I had, I think, all three of the undergrads, Mike Spooner and me are gonna be going. So I have to talk with them and figure out when we should set up a tour. You're welcome to join too, but I'll let you know what I figure out. And then I was brainstorming, me and Pingle talked about earlier, like changing the name of the group a little bit. Because AI is maybe not the best representation of what we're doing. And then maybe making an About Us page on the Neil page. So kind of like organizationally shifting this group under Neil, having this as kind of like a subset of the lab is my idea. But I'll talk to Dr. Pingle about it, see what he thinks. Machine learning fun. So I started looking into LinkedIn learning courses on machine learning. It used to be called Lynda, but now it's LinkedIn Learning. It was kind of a weird setup. Like you had to go through VT and hook it up, and then it asks like 1,000 times if you want to hook up your LinkedIn account to it. And I don't want them to know more about me than they already do, so it's fine. But it works. It's cool. There's a ton of resources on there. So like there's a ton of Python, web development, data science courses. It's like Colleen, you mentioned that you didn't have any Python experience, or you had a little bit, right?
Only a little bit.
They have a ton of Python courses, which are pretty cool. And there's like a 6-hour data science one, which might be a little bit more kind of nuts and bolts type things. But they have like if you have a problem, there's usually kind of like a Python or a program way of them solving it. But I did notice all these data science courses naturally are geared more towards like the financial and business analysis type things. So there's nothing really like geospatial in the geospatial realm. I mean, there's some GIS tutorials, but like I don't think it would hold the candle to the Esri stuff. And then the machine learning courses like that I found were really geared towards like predicting like market stuff. So if you have your user that clicks on an ad, what kind of ad would be the best to serve to them next? Which I think is really interesting, but it's a little hard to conceptualize these like algorithms and different types of ways of building machine learning models and applying it to the geospatial realm and like what we're doing with the imagery stuff. So it's a little bit, it's kind of one of those things that was like 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, I'm just gonna put this to rest. This is too deep this night. But yeah, I think it's useful. I'll look more into it. And then one of the machine learning courses I looked at, I was watching it as like probably like 30 or 40 minutes of it I watched, and it would like cut off at weird spots. So it was like the 6-hour Python data science course, and they talked about the principles. And one of the, like they're going through some Jupyter code and like, okay, now what does that mean? And it cuts and goes to the next section. I'm like, I don't know. So it's not maybe the highest grade thing in the world. So it might be a hit or miss with these videos. And then other kind of random things I did was I classified visually the tornado damage and drew a polygon, and then I convert that polygon to a binary image, so 1s and 0s. So 1 being damage, 0 being none. Mike Spooner reached out to me from NWS. He said that they had some classified polygons and asked me if it would be useful. I want to say yes to him because I think it would be useful, but I need to talk to Dr. Pingle about the IRB implications because we just had that training with Kareem, and now it's really complicated. I'm confused about what it all means. So Dr. Pingle, I'll be asking about that when we meet. And then I started working on replicating the pre-processing algorithms from Kuhner et al. So that was Dr. Shaw's student. So doing the Laplacian with Gaussian, entropy, and Gaussian filter. I don't think it'll take that long to replicate. I just wanted to like have code of just for future reference, okay, this is entropy, this is Laplacian and Gaussian, and this is Gaussian filters, if you use them. And then I started installing OpenCV. It was taking forever to run, and I have no idea if it finished or not. I need to check into that, so I'll chase that down later. Next week, so with my goals for next week, I put like maybe how much time I'm going to dedicate to each task. I'm predicting what I'll be doing next week. The color correction for Franklin tornado scans, I think we need to talk a little bit more about that and what we were thinking of doing that with FFmpeg. I did a little research, but I don't think that would take more than an hour and a half to figure out a way of doing something with that. Coordinating with Dave Carroll, get together some classes for next semester because that is upon us and I need to figure that out. And then Kareem, we have our lit review draft due 11/5, and I need to read and write a lot. So my focus for the next 2 weeks are going to be kind of absorbing by osmosis all these papers and kind of distilling that into a draft of a lit review. And then the image processing, which I think should take like about a half hour. That's all I got. There we go. All right, cool.
Good meeting.
Yeah.
Comments, questions, concerns?
What classes are you guys signed up for? You guys already signed up for stuff, or
We haven't signed up yet, but
No.
taking 3 CS classes?
so taking this one, taking 2 CS classes and 2 geog classes.
And this one's just like a continuation of the.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Is it good?
It's okay.
It's more about
There
like
we go.
decision tree, like the part that I like. 25 is about decision
And
trees,
bottom right.
Bayes and stuff like that. And I
Like
think
Bayesian?
yeah, Bayesian